Hello and welcome back to the podcast. This is the first episode of my latest series, Men Views About Life, where everyday man would tackle various facets of life from his particular perspective. Joining me is Jeffrey Hatcher and Chris Abrams. We are about to set the stage by addressing some elements of manhood, raising sons, and more. So stick around until the end. What's up, brothers?
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, what's up, brothers?
I could hardly wait to get y'all on here.
Oh, most
Men
definitely.
views. I've been talking to you two in particular, a couple other guys about this series and kind of trying to pique their interest, seeing who was going to be involved and what we're going to talk about, etc. You two in particular were two who were like, you know what, bruh, I'm in. It's something that we need to talk about because there's so much we could talk about, right?
Yeah, true.
Men views about life, and I wanted it to be stated in as broad of a way. So when things are happening, be it in our lives and society, affecting us in any kind of way, we can talk about that thing because, again, it's been stated so broadly and we can capture any specificity that we would like, given what's
Right.
going on at that time. I do want to quickly mention this. I don't know if we're going to touch on it or if I'm going to actually bring it up, but it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I may actually touch on that a little later. But for
Okay.
now, I want to kind of set the stage from a manhood perspective. Like, what does manhood mean? What does it look like? To me, when I think about it, and I've shared it with you guys before, when I think of manhood or just a man in general, I picture my grandfather. I picture my grandfather because he took care of everything. With my grandmother's help, she was right there taking care of, seven kids of her own and grandkids, etc. But my grandfather was working every day, providing, making the money, if you will, planting the garden, and we had food in the garden and all types of things. But he was protecting us. He was providing us. He was professing his love for my grandmother, for his wife. And that's initially what I saw and what I thought manhood to be. So that's the first thing that I want to share from my vantage point. But Chris, I want to hear from you first. Like, when you hear manhood, what does that mean? What does that look like to you?
When I hear manhood, so many levels to manhood. The first thing that comes to my mind is maturing, just being more mature, being more accountable, being more responsible, and dependable. All the men that I looked at or looked up to, they were dependable. If someone needed something or someone wanted something, or sometimes they just volunteered without even asking, they always showed up. They always showed up. They probably wasn't always smiling. They probably seemed kind of grumpy about it, but deep down inside, you knew that, they care for you and they love you and, they want to be there for you and be there for their families as well, too. So when I think of manhood, and like you said, man, we talk about this all the time. It's so many different levels and
Mhm,
layers of manhood. But the first thing I think about a manhood is being more mature and thinking
mhm,
mature.
mhm, mhm. That maturity, man. Whew, yeah, like you said, we've been talking about this for years, for decades, for that matter.
Yes.
The maturation process, from becoming a man, from that
Mm,
boy in our case, and we've talked about this before too, that derived from a household that was particularly led by a woman at that.
yep.
And we are testaments to our mothers of how well of a job, how good of a job that they've done, let alone in our childhood, but even to today.
Correct.
So yeah, thanks for touching on that maturation piece. Jeff, what comes to mind when you think of manhood? What does that look like to you?
Uh, Everything Chris said, also with integrity,
Hmm.
being a man of integrity, um, standing in a gap for the family,
Yeah.
sacrificing, doing things that you don't want to do. Whether that be in your career, whether that be whatever. Some careers you may not. I'm pretty sure some men that have careers that you know, they don't care to do it, but because you have a family, because you are a man, you know, you do what you have to do. So just being, you know, having some integrity and responsibility is, you know, men have responsibility. If you're a man, you definitely have some responsibilities. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah.
Hey, now you know we can that element in itself, integrity and the responsibilities that comes with it, being a man, especially when you have kids, you know, providing in that arena, if you will. It means a lot, and it can look like a multitude of things. And Jeff, something that you and I touched on recently, and I think you just touched on it a minute ago. It's we do so much, and so much is expected, but we don't get sometimes. Well, how should I put it? Well, hell, I just say it like the accolades, the acknowledgement, the love, the sometimes even the support that we may very well need, but because that proverbial, we're the man, right? This is manhood. Man up, right? We always say that, right? We don't say anything else. We usually say man up. And as I got older, I used to wonder, like,
what I mean?
Why do you always say that? You know?
Yeah.
And what does that mean? So, Chris, like when you say man up, like what?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel though? When I just said that.
So to me it's a mental and a physical toughness when I hear that man up, right? Because you know we hear it in sports, you know we hear it, you know, maybe in our neighborhoods or on the street, hey man up. You hear somebody complain or saying, hey man up, man, make a play, make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, make a play, make it happen. And I think I can speak for the both of you guys, including myself, that the men that we looked up to or the men that we aspired to be, when we saw them, they may not did a lot of talking. They was by action. You know, they got things done. You know, if somebody needed something, the family needed something was coming up, or even there was a crisis in the family, right? It was always that one man in the family you went to, and guess what? He had it. He had it, or he had the idea, or he came with a different philosophy, or he came with a different mindset, or he came with a different tone. And his presence alone made everybody feel like, okay, he in the room. So what we going to do? Because we felt like he had the answer, right? And as a man, I always want to be that person, right?
Yeah.
And I think honestly, because we are so family oriented and driven, we are those men. Right now, there's our wives, our kids, our friends, our neighbors can come to us right now in a drop of, we won't even think twice about it. We'll just do it.
Right.
You may even get a phone call out the blue. And you may say, man, I was just thinking about you. What you need, man, guess what? That gotta be something divine.
Right.
Where I was thinking about you, and then you call me. So let me come and help you, or let me come talk with you, or let me come help you do something, you know? So just that manhood, man, is in of being tough, you know, when you hear man, just man up. I think it's a inner toughness, and then to its outer appearance as well, to how you look. You know?
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Hey, before Jeff jumps in there, it's something you touched on about the quietness, right? And the man's his presence.
Yeah.
Going back to my grandfather, it was when you mentioned the quietness, like everyone who like really knew my grandfather, you guys have seen him before, been around. He was quiet.
Yeah.
But his presence, he had a presence about him,
right,
that in essence spoke before he even uttered the word. Right. And to your point, Chris, that is something. That very thing, whatever that was, I wanted it.
Yes.
Like I want to emulate that. So whatever it takes to, you know, train myself up, or be it from, you know, my dad, my uncles, and my two close uncles, as you guys know, my mom and dad's little brothers, learning from them and from others, learning from my mom, certain things from my mom.
Sure.
I know we're talking about manhood, but certain things from my mom. And I'll say this right quick too, Jeff. In terms of that integrity piece that he mentioned earlier, it's having the presence, being the man, being that go-to people can trust in and confide in too, as well, right?
Yeah.
And knowing that you, with the integrity that you have, people find you trustworthy. What you recommend, suggest, it just adds a totally different dimension and element to your manliness, if you will. Does that make sense?
Make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So Jeff, when you hear like man up, right? I just want to get your quick take on it. Like, what does that mean to you?
Pretty much the same thing. Man up. Do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. Yeah. Just man up. It's just being that man is when you walk in a room as a man and you light the room up. You self-confident. You walk in the room and people are genuinely, happy to see you because you bring that level of manhood, that level of integrity where people are just naturally, happy to see you, want to, see you around.
Yes.
And it's just because you sought that standard, as a man that, hey, Chris Abrams is a stand-up guy. And people are going to notice it and they're going to know, like, I can't come to Chris or Chris Jones with any kind of, foolishness because
that's another side of it. That's right.
Because now I know Chris Abrams is a man's man and, he's not, so it's just things of that nature that really, make people like your grandfather. I'm pretty sure, same as my grandfather. My grandfather was a soft-spoken man. William Daddy Buck Anderson. He wasn't a big frame man, but everywhere I went with him and every time I was with him, he didn't even have to say much. He got respect from young, from old, from women, from me. He just got respect. And I think, that plays a lot in men as characters, as our character.
So Jeff, with respect to the picture that you just painted with your grandfather, that automatic respect, demanding of it, if you will. Think about the consistency, the level of consistency that he had to bring to the table every day, that he had to walk with every day, the decisions that he made every day, the choices that he made to create this almost this to use the word again, this presence about him that spoke all of those things. Like you said, without him even uttering a lot of words. It goes back, I harken back to that because those are some of the things that I always wonder as a little boy. And I literally thought about this as a little boy, as a teenager, moreover. What are some of the things, that the experiences, like what did he do to get him to that point, right? So I always wanted that. And so in a measured way, I wanted to make sure that as I grew and, educated, be it formal, informal, educated, other training and such, I wanted to ensure that I developed that type of makeup. And I hope to this day that I'm showing myself approved, especially as we say that in the eyes of God, for one. We want to make sure we foot stomp that. But and that's something too. That just hit me as well. I think it's safe to say this. My grandfather went to church every Sunday. I think I'm pretty close. If he didn't go to church, something was up. Wasn't feeling well, or I remember him going to church when he wasn't feeling well. But it had to be something along those lines. But we'll touch on the religious, piece of it at another time or a little later on. I want to pivot from there, guys, and now we've touched on ourselves and our fathers, grandfathers, and such. Touched on my uncles. We all have sons. We all have sons who are in their own right doing very well, very well. And you guys have older sons just graduated college, doing their thing. I want you guys to kind of touch on some of that, but in a manner of what things did you guys make sure you instilled in them from a man's point of view? I know, hey, Mama Bear, we all have Mama Bears involved, but I'm talking about from you guys' perspectives as their fathers. What approach did you take in training him up, Jeff?
Oh man, so my son, this kid is phenomenal, man. Like I learned from him, honestly. So
Manny Fresh.
With these kids now, in the way our fathers raised us, you have to take a different approach. So the approach I took with my son was I spent a lot of time and a lot of talking. I did a lot of talking to my son, not so much being disciplined, just a lot of talking, just talking to him and teaching him. And I used to tell my son two things. I used to tell my son, listen, son, life is not that difficult. We make it difficult. Life is not that difficult. We as people make it difficult. And I should teach my son, listen, for one, two things in life, if you live by these two nuggets, you should be fine. For every action, there's a reaction. The second thing I taught my son was anytime that you have to sneak and do something, then you're not doing the right thing. And if you can't openly do it, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. So I used to tell him, like, listen, if you go to a girl house, if you can't walk through the front door, you got to go through the window. That's not the way you enter a house, through the window. So I used to tell him that anytime, if you can't open a beer and drink it, if you can't smoke openly, then maybe you shouldn't do it. It's not difficult. So I used to always teach him that, and I used to always think that he wasn't listening until he got older, and I hear him tell his friends the same thing that I had told him, and I was sitting back like yeah. So, and the last thing, Chris, when it comes to teaching. So I remember when I was teaching my son to drive. Funny story. I was teaching him to drive, and I was getting so frustrated because I'm like, "What road you on? Like, where you at? What road you on?" And we in Fort Lauderdale. So he's like, "Dad, I don't know what road I'm on." And I'm like, "You need to know what road you on." And he said to me, when we pulled up, he said, "Dad, tell me something." I said, "Why?" He said, "Why do I need to know what road I'm on? Right now, I just started driving. Why?" I said, "Well, how you going to know where you're going?" He said, "Dad, I have a phone. I plug it up to my car. A map comes up. It tells me turn left, turn right." So I said, "Manny," I said, "what if your phone die?" He said, "Dad, why would my phone die? I plug into a charger right here in the car and it charges."
Yeah.
So basically what he was teaching me was where when I was coming up, I had to literally learn 6th Street, Liberty Street, 25. He was like, "Dad, I'm going to learn it over time. I don't need to learn it how you learned it." Now that made me think, he's not the same as I. He's not growing up in the same world that we grew up in. You know, when it came to parenting him, I could not parent him the way that I was parented. I had to like listen to what he was telling me because he was teaching me, "Hey man, Papa, take it easy. You know, I'm gonna learn the street. I have technology now." So I had to learn.
No, that's spot on. I love that. Chris has been nodding his head yes.
Oh man, for most definitely.
That is I love that. And
Yeah.
I mean, most people know my son is much younger than you guys. My my son will be 9 in July.
Yeah.
So just think about what his world is looking like, or what the world is looking like to him now.
Yeah.
And when he, become, in his early 20s, as you guys sons,
Yeah.
but the world around him is going to look like, and how, his mom and I and everyone else is going to have to kind of pivot and to your point, Jeff, kind of
Yeah.
understand it from his lens, because it's totally different from ours. So
Yeah.
that as you were sharing that, inside, I'm kind of like, man, Jeff, those are some awesome points. I thought about it, but have I made that piece actionable truly? Not really. I haven't yet, given the age of my son. So thank you for those nuggets.
Yeah.
Chris Abrams, Chris busting at the seams over there.
Oh my gosh, Jeff.
What's up with you and Noah in particular? That dynamic. What has that been like?
So Jeff hit some awesome points, right? And I'm just smiling and laughing because I can relate to everything Jeff just said. So with Noah and I, first of all, I knew that the way that he was going to be raised was totally opposite and different the way I was raised, right? So you want to have that. We had a balance in the house. I would say that, you had a mom, you had a dad, he saw that, they see that. So I just tell Noah, I said, Noah, listen, let me tell you this story. I went to the future, right? And I'm back from the future. So everything I'm telling you is to help you to navigate your future, right? I done been through some things that you should never have to go through. You should never make the same mistakes that I made, no matter what they were, no matter why I made them, right? I'm taking no excuses for it. I'm being a man, and it happened, right? So I'm trying to set him up to have a standard in the household, right? A standard of, putting God first, standard of integrity, the standard of being a friend and what a friend looks like. School comes first. He was an athlete, as well, but it was a balance on that too. So in our household, we push education more, even, believe it or not, more than even, sports. Right. Because we all know that one day that ball is going to go flat, right?
There you go.
So you're going to have to always fall back on that education. So, and I have to, like Jeff said, I have to remind myself too that with me and Noah growing up, different times, they have more distractions. In my opinion, they have more distractions than we had. It is so much temptation out there, more temptation today than it was when I grew up, when I just on the outside, looking in. But too, what I thought and I know was important for him and I, communication, right? Every time I call it coaching them up or pulling them up or helping them out, I just say, do it because I told you to do it. No. No, I couldn't do that.
Right.
Hey, I'm like Jeff said, hey, you shouldn't be going in if you're going to go in a young lady house, you don't sneak through the window.
Yeah.
You go through the front door where everybody can see you. Right.
Yeah.
So it's always a teachable, we call it a teachable moment. Right. So when I saw him make a mistake or saw him do something, hey, Noah, listen, I ain't getting on you about it. Listen, this is a teachable moment. Next time you may want to, do it this way, right? I wish I had that, right? I wish I had that, growing up. And I'll just say
what, Jeff? You didn't have that, Jeff? What?
No, I ain't. Listen.
You wish you had that too, Jeff?
I wish. Listen, all three of us on here, right? I consider all three of us to be successful men.
Yeah.
Can you imagine where we would have been had we had the guidance that we gave our sons and our family?
That young man, Chris Abrams, right there to your right in the screen, of course.
Yeah.
Dude, he says that all the time.
Yeah.
And I know he said the same thing to you all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
all the
If
time.
we would have had that.
Yeah. And then too, it wasn't, I mean, how can I say it? It wasn't about like money, even with our kids. It's not about money. It's not about material stuff. It's just those little nuggets. Like it's those things happen, whether at school or in the neighborhood or in life.
Mhm.
And our kids can come to us and say, "Hey, pops, hey man, hey, I want to run something by you real quick. All right, what's up?" And once they break it down, then you can say, "You know what? That's interesting. You handle that pretty well, or you may want to handle this situation like this. If I was you, you may want to think about this route as well too." It's just those little nuggets, man.
Yep.
Those little like I'm going in this direction. Maybe I need to go in this direction, or I can't go in this direction, but just that maturity of a man with integrity that has some experiences to say, "Hey, I tried it that way before, and this is the outcome that happened to me. You may want to do it a different way."
Right.
It's just little nuggets, just little guidance, conversations.
Yeah.
Yep.
CJ, having a younger son, I would definitely share this with you, which I know you're not, but I would definitely just put it out there.
Mhm.
One thing I found to be true when it comes to especially our sons, I have a daughter too, but with our sons, is that how do young people say you got to keep it 100 with them? You can't lie to these kids, man.
Yeah.
No.
So with me and my son, anything that I ever did in life, whether it was like Chris Abrams said, whether it was good or bad, I took responsibility for it, and I don't like hide it from my kids. I told them, listen, I straight up told them, listen, your mom has a college degree, your dad don't have one,
right?
Not because I didn't have the opportunity to have one, but because I didn't put in the work to get one. That's just the truth.
Right.
I tell them, your mom went to class. I went to shoot dice. That's just the truth.
I knew what you were about to say.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. While your mom was in class, I was somewhere in Savannah. I ain't had no business being shooting dice. However, and that's where the religious part come in at now, I said, but God gave me grace.
Yes, sir.
So because he gave me grace, I was able to land a decent job, career that I can support and take care of the family.
Right.
I said, but your dad ain't sitting here telling you that, I'm telling you, like Chris said, go to school and whatever. And you can look at me and say, well, Dad, you didn't go. Yeah, but guess what? Every mistake I made, it's my job to try to keep you from making those same mistakes.
That's right.
Yeah. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. Woo, boy. Man. But yeah, you guys got me thinking about so much over here. And I'm just gonna take some notes for the next episode, the next segment, so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, man. This thing is so deep because Chris, right quick, even with, I never had it, but like right now, you look at some of these kids. Watch this. Chris, CJ, your son longer. CA, you think Noah can work on his car? Probably not.
Right.
Because his car is what? Newer car technology.
Yeah.
So we can't even teach our sons how to really change the oil.
No. Right. That's true.
My son can't change the oil in his car.
That's true.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I like that. I like that analogy. And it to piggyback on something you said earlier, Jeff, simply put, how the times have changed. We because today's age looks the way it looks. I don't have the opportunity to teach him this and train him up, train him about this, that, and the third. And these are some of the things that, as I sit here listening to you guys, I don't really think about like that, or I hadn't really thought about like that, especially how you two just kind of dole those things out. But again, another topic for another episode.
Right.
Where I want to go now, guys, and you two kind of already touched on this. I ask about, how you train them up and instill certain things, manliness, manhood, if you will. Um, what are some of the things that you guys do currently, and I guess plan to do in some respect to help them to continue on the path that they're on, especially given what you touched on, Chris. You touched on the temptation. I believe you touched on the temptation that's out here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and all the other
Yeah.
things and elements that are out here, kind of like lurking in the dark. Like, what comes to your mind, Chris, when it comes to what are some of the things that you continue to instill in
Listen, I feel like I'm the tone setter in my household, so I got to lead by example. I have to lead by example. I can't tell. Noah don't. He have his own place and whatnot. But when he here, I can tell him, hey man, you need to be home at a certain time because it's late. But then I'm coming home 2:30, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning as well too. So he look at me like, hey man, you can't. You got to set the tone.
He's
and,
like,
and two, yes, it's right. It got to be a balance too, and also too. I know, like growing up, we always hear that phrase, "Oh, the little kids are always watch." Be careful what you say around kids. The little kids, because they watching you and they picking up everything you say and everything you do. I would say our daughters and our sons are doing the same thing, especially our sons. Our sons are watching us. They're watching how we treat our wives. They're watching how we move in the community. They watch how we get up and go to work and come home. They listen to what we say or maybe complain about. So being the tone setter in your household, you have to lead by example, because when you do have that conversation with your son and you have to have that tough conversation, or you want to give some advice, they can't look at you and say, well, you didn't do it. Or like Jeff said, you know what? I didn't do it, but you knew I didn't do it. And I told you I didn't do it. So I didn't hide that from you. But the reason why I didn't do it is because of this. But if you don't do this at this day and time, 2026, you may be in this situation right here as well too. So it's an ongoing, and it's funny. I was talking to my wife, and we're trying to parent adult kids now. You know what I'm saying? It sounds crazy, but maybe I hope I'm not the only one. And maybe, a matter of fact, Jeff can definitely relate to this too. Because out of all us three in here, he has the oldest child out of us. So being a parent of a newborn all the way up until, I tell you what to do, tell you when to come home, tell you what not to do. But now as an adult parent, having adult kids, it's kind of different for me now, because they have their own minds. They have their own goals. They have their own dreams. Yeah. They have their own way of doing things. And to be honest with you, with Noah, man, he has matured so much now that when I have a conversation with him, it's like I gotta approach him different. Hey, I can't approach him. I gotta approach him in a like a different way. And what I mean by that, like he's mature, and he has a vision for himself. So
Chris, I'm gonna interject this right quick too.
Yeah.
Especially with Noah being a Morehouse man and a recent Georgia Tech grad. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you cannot approach Noah half-stepping. No, sir.
Bro, let me tell you, man. Hey, I thank God for God. I thank God for Noah mama in our community, his uncles. I thank God for Morehouse, and I thank God for Georgia Tech. Because he is so, I see he's totally different to me.
Right.
He's so mature now. He knows what he wants. He know what direction he want to go in, and it's like no nonsense, right? So I'll give you a quick story. when he first came out of high school, after his ACL injury, he went to University of South Carolina. He walked on, he was doing fine.
Mhm.
Kept getting little nagging injuries. He came home, he said, I want to go to HBCU. Cool. Which one? I want to go to Morehouse. I said, okay, cool. I said, you got in North Carolina A&T and you got into some other schools. He said, no, I want to go to Morehouse. I said, no, it's always good to have a dad. I said, okay, hey, man, listen, hey. He got into Morehouse.
Right.
Right before he graduated, he said, you know what? I want to go to grad school. I said, which one? He said, it's only one. I said, which one? He said, Georgia Tech. Tech, you might want to have another backup plan. He said, Mom, Dad, I want to go to Georgia Tech. Got into Georgia Tech. So then it was more like, then that's when I realized, like, hey, Chris, take a step back. He's an analytical thinker. Before he came to you with what he wanted to do, he has already mapped it out in his mind of how he's going to do it and when he's going to do it. So when he coming to you, he's coming to us as a courtesy. Hey guys, let you know what's going on in my life. This is what I'm doing. In my mind, I don't think he's coming for me to us or to me as his dad for advice. He's not coming for advice. So now I'm trying to get used to that. That's different from me, because my wife, she'll Joan on me a little bit. She said, "You got all the answers."
But let me tell you but Chris, let me tell you that good part about parenthood and about family, that I don't know where we picked it up from, but we all have it.
Yeah.
So I tell my daughter, who's 27, by the time she got 16, 17 years old, I take off this hat and I put on another hat.
There you go.
I tell my daughter, I said, look, I'm your friend, but I'm not your friend. So I said, for me, I'm more of your life coach now.
Yeah.
Your integrity, your work ethic, all that's already been, you are who you are.
Right.
All I am now is to, you come to me and say, hey, Dad, listen, what do you think about this?
Right.
I tell you what I think. However, it's your decision. I'm not here at this stage in your life. I'm not here to tell you what to do. That's not my role at this stage in your life. If I haven't done that when you was younger, then I already missed that ship. That ship done sail.
Right.
And that's where parenting and fatherhood, what we start out talking about, that's where it plays such a huge part in being that father with that intentions and that integrity. And because now you planted them seeds. I think my daughter 27, I think her whole life, I may have spanked her one time.
Yeah. I share that with my daughter too.
Yeah.
I don't remember having to, well, actually, this is what I tell her. And I tell her this. I don't remember having to spank you after the age of 3.
Right.
And she's 22, almost 23 now.
Right. Yeah. Same thing with Nadia. Yeah. Yep. Same thing with my daughter.
And my daughter 27. Like you said, Chris Jones, I think I have maybe Lonzo have some older kids or whatever, but I think out of all of us that hang together in our little group, I think I have one of the oldest kids. Maybe Gil. My daughter's 27, but same thing now with Manny. I remember my wife used to laugh at me because I remember when Manny first started driving, we have this thing called Life 360, and we all in it. So I'd be like this. Oh, Manny, let me see what Manny.
Yeah.
And Deborah used to be like, listen, man. I'm like, like you laying down in the bed and went to sleep. Like she sleep.
Right. Right.
I'm still up. Like, it's 12 o'clock. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Hey man, I pick him up. Hey, you good?
Yeah.
Like, you on the way? You know what I'm saying? But You have to just let it go and just make sure that you instill the right things in them.
Yeah.
And you have
there
to
you
trust
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, it's funny you say that because I ain't gonna lie. At one point, I used to do that too, and I hated it, and Penelope used to get on me about it, like, that's terrible, what you're doing, but we grew up so different.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need Life 360. And you know what I'm saying? We didn't, our moms, they knew how we carried ourselves, they knew how we handled ourselves. But I just knew, like, my son, Jeff, your son, and Chris, your son, they didn't grow up like we grew up, right?
Mm-hmm.
We grew up, responsibility came to us at a very, very young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? We didn't run away from it.
Nope.
We accepted that challenge, and I thank God for it. But the fact that, like what Jeff's saying, like, okay, he out, it's 12:30, he can't handle himself, you know what I'm saying? But they can. And like Jeff said, we have already instilled those things inside of them, so just sit back and watch and enjoy it.
So this is funny, right? Listen to you two say that about your sons. Now, I know your daughter is the oldest, Jeff. We know that, but with Kristen is the oldest, as I just mentioned. She's 22, almost 23, and I remember the 360 thing, but it wasn't from my vantage point. It was her mom following and tracing and still. I'm like, and Jeff, you just touched on something that made me remember this. I'm not oblivious. Things can happen. A lot going on. We're here in Maryland, and a lot is always going on. A lot of people, increasing the probability. Anyway, it's what you just touched on, Jeff. I was always, I don't want to say so confident, but confident in a way that we had trained her up and instill, certain, values and certain morals, right? Understanding life and the movements, the shifts, the friendships, the associates and affiliates, people who, have your back and have an additional eye on you, that she would be good, that she would be okay. So I was always the parent, and still is. I'm like, back off, give us some room, give us some space, let her breathe.
Yeah.
Just trust that we instill enough in her. But it's this too. Not not trust that we instill enough in her that she's okay, she's good. But when she's not good, that she has the environment to come to us, to share, to express, explain. And I think for the most part, we have accomplished that. And that's, as all parents know, that never stops, right? It's an ongoing thing. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, guys.
Yeah.
I'm at the point now, I keep talking about the next episode and next topic of discussions and such. So much is going through my head that I want to start to close this session out, but I cannot close it out before having just some final words, or just some words that you guys may want to elaborate on something that you touched on earlier. Yeah, that's the point that I'm at. So any parting words for both sides, for fathers in particular, or even sons at this juncture? And Jeff, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts around that?
Chris, man, I'm just first of all, I'm thankful and grateful for the opportunity to come on and share my thoughts. But when you look at the heading on this, when it says men, I hope you invite me back. There's so many, like we didn't even touch men going to the doctor, men being vulnerable, showing a vulnerability toward how to open up and talk about something that's bothering you. And
yes,
and we haven't even tapped into that yet. We basically just talked about our kids.
That's right.
So when you say men and being a man, yeah, we started out talking about the definition of maybe what a man should do. So like I said, I hope you invite me back, because there's so many different things. Like when the world come down on us, you know, in the family, and if you're looking at it from a spiritual perspective, you know, when God is telling you you're the head of a family, but then, you know, the person that you're married to or the family is pushing back, and you got to make decisions. And where do you go? You know, who do you go to as that man and say, listen, you know, this is what should be doing. This is what I should be doing. This is a decision that I have made, but you're getting pushback. And, you know, how do you deal with that? You know, where do you go to deal with it? Yeah. So this whole topic on men and, you know, our views on life, I think it's a great session, Chris. Like I said, you know, where do we go when we need somebody to talk to open up and vet to? And, you know, we got things going through our head, and
yes, sir.
Children running, and just thank God that, you know, my children are doing okay. But then you got, you know, when you're a person like me, like, man, I get pulled every day. You know, I got, you know, and it's not to brag. I'm, you know, to say this as humbly as possible. You know, I got people, you know, calling me from the mayor to, you know, people need a job. And because again, when you're that man of substance, and, you know, you put out this, for lack of better words, facade, people gonna gravitate to you, because guess what? People need help.
That's right.
So now, you know, you're the man in the community. You're the man that, you know, you have integrity. People see that. You know, you're trying to better your community. You're trying to better your family. At the same time, you got a wife, and, you know, at the same time, you know, like I said, you got the community, you got the church. Then you got your parents getting older, and, you know, and if you're that guy and people are calling you, that should tell your circle, this guy must be doing something right. Because if he wasn't, nobody would be calling him.
That's right.
But where do you go when you being pulled and it's like, damn, boy, I'm mentally drained. You know, I'm tired. Yeah. But guess what? I got to keep fighting that good fight, because guess what? This is what I put out. This is how people perceive. This is how people perceive me.
That's it.
Yep. You know, Jeff or Chris, you know, they're dependable, they're reliable. I need help. You know, I need, you know, so yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the next series.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you touched on, especially the latter part of that, Jeff. As I mentioned initially, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and all of this, everything that you guys have shared over the last 30 plus minutes, affects your mental health, impacts it positively, negatively. Think about the anxiety. You know, you looking at Life 360 or whatever it is with your son, and the stress that, but at the same time, people are calling you and depending on you about all these other things, like throughout the community at
Chris,
large.
My phone rang constantly. You know, hey man, I heard you're doing a book bag giveaway. Oh, I heard you're doing this. Or I'm doing that. Oh, hey man, you know, my niece just got incarcerated. She just came home. I heard you're a director now. You know, can you help him with a job? This, that, like, hey man, I heard you know, this, whatever the case may be, you know, like, man, can you come talk to my son? My son is experimenting with marijuana, this and that. I know you was a good officer. Like, it don't stop, bro. Like, then, like I said, then you got your wife pulling and saying, you know, I need my time, and then you need this time, and then you need your own time for yourself. It's only 24 hours in a day.
That's it.
And that's everything that you just said, though. I hence the importance, and we all talk about this all the time, about platforms like this. And there are several, be it podcast shows, that you can get, I mean, some real helpful information. And, you know, you guys both know, and 3-4 of our other close brothers can attest to this as well. I was like, of course, I'm innately biased to my buddies, my circle, my brothers, but I got some bad brothers, man. I got some dudes who have been in some circles, still in some circles, who who have the connection and the resources and access thereof, that we need to start sharing bits and pieces of what we've learned about life in general, or specifically about any facet of life. So I'm thankful. That's why I'm so thankful for you guys of being on here and imparting this type of information, so we can start reaching as many people as possible, especially the younger men out here.
Yeah.
So Chris, what is your take on, the for fathers and sons, some parting words?
Yeah. First of all, Chris, hey man, thanks for your platform. I think this is a awesome topic. This is a series that can go on for a long time, because I think we said it earlier, it's so many different layers, right?
Right.
So I appreciate you having me and Jeff on here.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to coming back as well. But I would definitely say for the men, in order for a man to be a husband, to be a good husband, to be a good father, a good provider, a good leader in your community, a good anything, you got to have self-care. If you're not taking care of yourself,
that's it.
All the titles will not mean anything, because you won't probably, I hate to say it, be around to fulfill those titles.
That's it.
You have to have some self-care. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say, you know what? Today I'm just going to lay around all day and just chill. Or you know what? Today I'm going to do something that I want to do. Okay. It's okay to just take a mental day. You can call off from work and say, you know what? I'm not going to work today. I'm just going to sit home around the house and do what I like to do, whether yard work, whether it's painting, whether it's working on a project, calling friends, whatever it is. You got to have some self-care in order to fulfill those titles. Okay. And I would say this to the sons and the daughters: parents are not perfect.
No.
Parents can get it wrong. Parents have made mistakes. Parents still make mistakes. Okay. So parents are not perfect. So I would tell to the kids, the sons and daughters, make sure you show some grace to your fathers, and to your mothers, as well too.
Yep, absolutely. Now that buttons everything up right there.
Yeah.
And you guys, I wish I could have had all the brothers on here. Yeah, we will at some point
Right.
together, communing about various topics and such. Again, I go back to and I'll say this publicly as well. Yeah, I'm so appreciative. I touched on it a minute ago. I'm so appreciative to be a part of this brotherhood that we have, and as long as it's been going, and I'm talking about the depths of it, right? We grew up together, So, but maturing together, to your point, Chris, earlier, I've seen the maturation of all of my brothers, you two in particular, and how you lead your households, how you communicate with your kids and your spouses, just all of that. And everything isn't glorious all the time. It's not pretty all the time. It's not giggles. I get it. I got it. But I've seen you guys pivot and move and adjust, adapt with a certain level of flexibility that goes back to the words you use, Jeff, that has so much integrity in it.
Yeah.
And me knowing that's my brother right there.
Yeah.
I remember this cat when he was 7 years old. I remember him in school. He used to do this, that, or whatever. So just watching that level of maturity, again, your word, Chris, coupled with the integrity that you guys have, as you mentioned, Jeff. I'm just grateful. That's the word that comes to mind with me in an environment like this. And we have so much more to share, to impart. Jeff, you touched on the latter of that you usher in that mental health side of it in terms of we're always giving, but like
Mm,
I'm making this,
yeah.
baby, but who's
Yeah.
depositing back in me, kind of thing.
Right.
I'm doing all this giving, but who's giving back
Right.
me, right?
Right.
And again, there's so many things we could talk about with respect to that as well, and we are in some respect. So I thank you, brothers, for coming on here, man.
Man, thanks for having me, man. We appreciate it, Chris.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
And last thing, because I want to say too, man, like
Please.
it's so amazing, man, to see us where we at this stage in our life. Again, no disrespect to any of our fathers, none. But
Yeah.
it's so amazing to see the thought process, to see the maturity when most of us came from that single parent home. Like that's the part for me that's like this is literally insane. When I see CA running his house and I see Noah doing his thing and I'm like, I see Nadia and I'm like, and then during the week we hit each other. He was like, man, Nadia doing this cooking thing and y'all in own business. And I'm like, man, like where did it come from? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
How did we,
Yeah.
and all of us from what people call the country. Where did these little country boys
The country
come from? And I feel the same way. And it's like self-pride when you can, sit down in a room with business people and have conversation and it's like, man, I came from Waynesboro, Burke County, Georgia. Are you serious? Like, you know what I'm saying? Single parent home.
How about them county boys?
That's what, like,
For sure. For sure.
Like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like it put chills on me, man. Like what did it like? Where did Chris Abrams learn this from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did Chris Jones learn this from?
It's pride.
I got to share this real quick, and this is partly answering your question, Jeff. And I didn't think I was going to even mention this, but to your question, that very question, like where did this come from? How do we know? I like tricked myself, for lack of a better word or phrase, many moons ago, decades ago. I saw certain things. My sister Crystal was experiencing, and this is tied to our dad. Some things that, a couple of times she was let down and disappointed about certain things, and I remember vividly twofold. Man, and I'm a little boy now. I'm talking. I had to be 13, maybe 14. When, if I ever have a child, especially a daughter,
there you go.
In my power, whatever's in my power to not make her feel or experience that,
there you go.
I'm going to do it.
There you go.
The second side of that, I told my mom when I was, 15, 16. I remember because I was kind of up in high school, if you will. But I told her I thank my dad for something, right? She kind of like, what you thank him for? Kind of in a way. This is me reacting it, right?
Yeah.
What it was this, Jeff. I said, I thank my dad for showing me how not to be a father.
There you go.
So I literally said that.
There you go.
So I flipped the script. I'm like, I wasn't taught what to do and how to, but I know the things to do conversely to not create that situation.
Yeah.
So that's something that has stayed with me literally 30, 35-ish years.
Yeah.
And that's how I, in essence, kind of like self-train myself, watching you guys, watching other, fathers and such, watching other mothers, for that matter as well.
Yeah.
That's my answer to your question, because I always had that same question, Jeff. Like, how are we doing so well? What are we doing? And we have good help too, helpmates and so forth.
Right. Pain, disappointment, and letdown. Pain, disappointment, and letdown. When you feel that, it's going to do one or two things. It's going to lead you to give pain, disappointment, or let down, or it's going to create something inside of you to say, you know what? If God ever put me in this situation,
yep,
this is how I'm going to do this situation, right? And I think as men, as fathers, and so many other hats I can name, we get so caught up with our responsibilities that we kind of miss, like Jeff said, Manny and Tata. Come on, Tata, she's still in school doing her thing. Manny in school, about to graduate as well too, and so respectable kids, man. When you see them and you meet them and talk to them, so soft spoken, just so laid back, man. But we had done what we were supposed to do, and we so intense with it. When we sit back and say, "Well, dog, what? How were we able to do that?" No, you are doing it. We are actually in it right now. We are in it, you know. So it's hard to sit back and figure out, like, man, I put, like Jeff put 2 kids in college, through college. And to them, it wasn't no, that's my daddy. Yeah, that's my dad. He supposed to put me in college.
There you go. There it
you know what I'm saying? Whereas we were like, what?
I paid my own college.
Oh, hey man, I gotta get a scholarship, bro.
I got to get a scholarship.
And I
got to get a scholarship, or I'm going into the military now.
Yes. It's more like we didn't look, and it wasn't nothing against our moms or even our dads. Nothing against them.
Right.
We didn't look for them to do that for us. You know what I'm saying? We look to, like, okay, like I said, we grew up very fast at some young ages, you know, where we had to mature and make decisions and put in some situations where we got to be smart and young adults and responsible.
Right.
So we didn't look at that to them for that, you know. We look for our parents to pay for us to go to school, right? But our kids look at us like, hey, my boy. Hey,
I mean, it's expected, and why not? You know, but each of us have walked into that and have stepped up to the plate. What were you about to say, Jeff?
I'm gonna say this last thing, and you know, it's we laugh about it now, but my mom probably gonna kill me, but I remember being at college or something. And my mom gave me a check when we got ready to go back to school. I'll never forget, me and Tight Man was together. Me and Tori Davis was together. And we pulled up to the bank window. And I gave them people that check. Some people say, if you don't get your you know what out of here, I was like, man, this can't be the way. I was like, come on, man. I was like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I tell my kids that story. They were like, man, if you don't get this check out of here. And I was, but, you know, I was like,
crazy, man.
And Tight Man looked at me and I'll never forget, man. Y'all know how, listen. We got good friends now.
Yeah.
Tight Man looked at me and just bust out and started laughing. I was like, I was mad, but I couldn't do nothing but laugh. But when you look at my kids, you know, you look at a generation later.
Yeah.
And, you know, my kid went to college. It was like you said, Chris, like, man, I remember my daughter telling me one time when she was at school, she was some dude trying to date her. And he took her because she went to school in Orlando. So the dude took her to Disney, right? And he was telling her something like, she was telling me, like, he was saying something like, oh, since I paid for you to get in Disney, like, I know you're going to let me, you know, come over and stay to your house or whatever. She was like, my daughter like, dude, we went to Disney. She was like, I tell you what, what's your cash up? She was like, you can get, like, my dad got me like, I don't, you know, like, you can get this money, like, let me send your money back.
Yeah.
And I was like,
there you go.
My girl.
Right.
My girl. Right.
You know? And I was like, this crazy, man.
So okay. So you guys saw I intentionally, under the auspices of setting the stage, started with sons, right? We've been talking about our daughters. I mean, it's a man's going to naturally talk about his daughter at some point.
You're right.
But to your earlier points, Jeff, about the material, like the angles that we could talk about and that we're going to talk, bruh, talking about our daughters and some of those
now that's a whole different.
Listen,
now that's a series within a series. The daughters, man.
So hold tight. And everybody out there who's listening, who's watching this and listening to this right now,
make sure you have me and Jeff on that series about the daughters.
Yeah, man.
We got to be on that one too. We got to be on that one too, bro.
Hey, I'm gonna need some help with mine because I have a blast with my daughter, boy.
Yeah.
Hey, thick as thieves.
That's right.
Her mom used to hate on us, the relationship that we had. But the older she got, she was like, you know what?
I'm glad.
And Tisa would say to this day, hey, Jeff, I'm about to put something out there too. She was like, I don't want to paraphrase. I want to use her exact words. She basically says she's glad that I am her father.
There you go.
Because of what I do. Just the relationship, the dynamics that we have.
That's phenomenal.
Right.
That's right. That's phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So yes, Jeff, there's material that we're gonna be talking about all types of stuff.
Well, I hope you have me back.
Yeah, me too, Chris. I know I can't be on all of them, but you want me on all of them. But make sure you put me on that on the daughter one though.
Yeah, that's gonna be several. My boys, my brothers, you guys are gonna be on there. Your faces are gonna be pretty much synonymous with men views about life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, when you have people, in this case, men who, I mean, have so much firsthand knowledge because of the experiences that they have and all the memories that derive from that, it's a recipe for success. So that's what I'm trying to design methodically in a way that we all have the bandwidth to continue to support it, because there is so much that we're going to be talking about and discussing. But I appreciate it, guys.
Well, you know my slogan.
What's that? They don't know it.
Oh, no. The people, we know it, but the people don't know it.
Yeah. What's
real men do real things.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go. That's it.
Hashtag real men do real things.
That's right.
And on that note, we're gonna roll it out. I appreciate you guys, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Hey, look, to the audience, thanks again for always tuning in. As we mentioned and alluded to, there are going to be so many subject areas and very specific topics that we're going to be tackling and addressing in some respect futuristically. So hang around. For you guys who are interested in coming on to a segment, just let me know. You can email me, go to the contact form and let me know, or go directly to the scheduling part on lifewriting.com to schedule a session with me. But hey, guys, like this video, leave a comment. I'm eager to see what you guys have to say about it. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, doesn't matter. We want this to be more of a conversation than we want it to be a discussion. You know, the conversation is just conversing about certain things. Discussions, you are actually conversing about things, trying to find some remedies, trying to find some solutions, right? That's why I always like using the word discussions. But again, leave a comment and share. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The Life Writing Podcast in general is another way we creatively inform and inspire, helping people write the lives they desire. Until the next time, continue to take care of your mental health. Fathers, take care of your business, stand on business, and man up if you have to. And I want you guys to continue to take care of yourselves.